Right. Absolutely. So, as you rightly said, Cyprus is not just, having a influence on Europe and is a gateway to Europe in a sense, but it's not just an implication on global South, but more importantly, or more specifically, into North Africa, into Middle East. It's very, very strategically placed, and therefore having a good functional relationship with Cyprus is important for India in order to have its influence in Europe, North Africa, and the Middle East. Also, as Professor Nalapat said, reaching out to Cyprus is in a way signaling that the game that Turkey wants to play can be played both ways. If Turkey wants to side with our adversaries, Turkey also has conflict situation with Cyprus. The only difference being that Cyprus is not a terrorist state, unlike Pakistan, which is run by terrorists. Cyprus is a regular country. And in the ambition that Turkey has of leading the Islamic world, it's trying to forge ties which are inimical to both its interest as well as India's interest. It's quite anachronistic to have a religion-based global order. I mean, those are things of the medieval age. The rest of the world has moved forward to having a real interest-based alignment, and it just does not hold any geopolitical rationale for Turkey to do what it has been doing against India in a very, very open manner, in aligning with terrorist states, in arming them, and so on and so forth. Also, Cyprus has been in the crosshair of China. So it's not just Turkey, but it's also signaling to China that India would like to protect its interest in Europe through Cyprus and kind of wean away Cyprus from the BRI initiative, the Belt and Road Initiative of China. And that's critical because, as Ambassador Sikri has mentioned, that for IMEC, which is the India Middle East Economic Corridor, Cyprus becomes a good counterweight to it, a good strengthening outpost to the IMEC, which itself is a bulwark against the BRI influence in Europe and Central Asia. So Cyprus becomes very, very critical in many of those angles. And it's not just the Turkey angle, it is Cyprus in itself, and the fact that Cyprus is going to take up the leadership of EU in the coming year. It becomes very important that, and very timely, that our government has chosen to reach out to Cyprus and reestablish or reaffirm the relationships and commitments that India has with this Mediterranean country. It's also from a technology and innovation perspective and a gateway to Europe perspective, Cyprus becomes very critical because many of our corporates and startups and so on can use Cyprus as the base for reaching out to the European market, which is again a very, very significant market. It's $20 trillion plus market, and therefore Cyprus plays a very critical role in enabling the economic outreach to Europe. So it's a very, very critical and timely step that India has taken.
Your assessment of